are, and they potentially work in the area of macroeconomic policies, across the country, and they predominantly work with the government. Um, and Professor Singh, Dr. Singh, I would request you to take the stage from here and take us through the report that you are, you know, projecting right now. Dr. Singh, over to you.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm so sorry. There was some IT glitch there, and I was not able to turn on the screen. Thank you so much, Dr. Kaushik, for the introduction. And let me dive straight into the research work that we have done. I'll be sharing my screen. Do let me know if you're able to see my PPTs, and then we'll move forward. So I hope my PPTs are there, visible to all. Are my PPTs, is the screen visible?
Yes, it is.
Thank you so much. So good afternoon, everyone, and thank you, EGROW Foundation, for giving me this opportunity to present the report of SHM and EGROW. This was a very beautifully crafted report that we came out with. There was a group of people who were involved in it, group of researchers. We had Professor Surendra Kumar joining us from Delhi School of Economics. We had Dr. Bala joining us from ISIC Bangalore, Dr. Charan, the CEO of EGROW, and me myself was there in this report. We, of course, had some RAs also joining us. So let me start off. The starting is that because we have to become a Viksit Bharat soon by 2047, and our GDP needs to increase to 22.8 US dollar trillion. So it is actually mandate for the MSMEs to grow. And MSME sector's growth is also projected that in the manufacturing, we'll have 18% of GDP being through the manufacturing sector and 60% by the service sector coming to the GDP in the 2047. The number of employment also, we are expecting that it will increase in the manufacturing subsequently as the share of the GDPs would increase. So in manufacturing also, we are expecting that 15% will increase. And in services, we expect the employment share to go to 52.3% from the 33.7% as of in 2023. And definitely our per capita income, which is as of now 2880, will need to be increased to $14,000 per capita. Now let me jump, now giving this as the scenario under which we did this research, and this scenario is why MSMEs are so important for a economy like India, a economy which is developing, which has abundance of resources, and how we are going to use those resources so that we can be a developed economy. So our main objective was to identify and analyze the key challenges that are being faced by MSMEs in India, and also suggest actionable recommendations for the policymakers. Now, for this, we did a two-way survey. One, we made a questionnaire and we got it circulated to the different MSMEs through SHM. And this is a pan-India that I'm talking about. We have done pan-India surveys. So one was recording the responses of the MSME And then the second way was we sat with them. We had online meetings, we had offline meetings with the SOCM members of, let's say, Uttar Pradesh, let's say Bihar, or Karnataka, and we sat with them so that we can understand, what are the issues that are being, which are being, they are facing. We also had, interactions with trade associations of Jalandhar, Ludhiana, and Mohali. So this report is totally based on what has been told to us by the respondents, the MSME people, and where is it that exactly the shoe is, hurting them. And accordingly, we came out with the report. We also did a country specific, and we saw, in Asia, we have a huge amount of number of MSMEs. So I'm going to, what are the key challenges which most of the MSMEs gave us was 30% of the key challenge, the maximum key challenge was coming from accessing finance. So finance was the basic key challenge which was being faced by the MSMEs. Then the second challenge is the complying with regulations. And the third comes out to be obtaining permits and licenses. So this is the result of the surveys that we did. Now I'm going to come to the specific issues which were being, which we discussed with the MSMEs and how the issues were coming up. Now these are generic form of issues, and let me share with everyone here that most of the MSMEs gave us these issues. And the first was time-consuming process of registrations. Having a because the registrations on the portals, now there was not only one portal, but they had to do registrations on several portals, and that was creating a lot of issues for them. Secondly, they were also not so they did not even know how to put in their data on the portal. So that was another lacuna that we found, that they want to do the registrations but they are unable to do it because they are not so learned, or they're not so IT friendly. So they had to actually go to consultants to get their work done, whereas they could have done it themselves. So these were one of the most of the issues were faced by MSMEs. So the solution that came out was, of course, that there should be only one portal, all the documents be submitted on that portal, and whoever required the documents, now for example, now for giving finance or giving loans, the banks would require to look into the details of the MSMEs. So let them go and have the access to the portal rather than the MSME again going to the banks, submitting their documents. So again and again had to be gone away with. Then secondly, another recommendation is that the government should have ways by which they can make the MSME owners or make the people who are actually registering the MSMEs learn how to do it on the portals. So have that educative scenarios created, and so that they can easily and simply go up and upload their documents. Another issue which the female entrepreneurs gave us was that the female entrepreneurs did not have land on their names. They had it on their counterparts' names. Now, this created an issue for them to get their MSMEs registered because the land holding was not on their names. So for especially for women, there should be some special provisions so that they can easily get their units, on the portals. The licenses were also costing a lot, and the renewals were also difficult. Now, sometimes we also came across MSMEs telling us that they did not know that the renewal was there, and we forgot to do the renewal, and now we have to face a lot of hiccups in getting the renewals done. So renewals should be a simplified process, and just like LIC, whenever we have a coming over that we have to pay the LIC amount, we get a SMS. In the same way, if they can also get that, that will be making their life much, much simpler. And of course, the portals were non-functional, and many times they would get stuck in the portals. The files were not being taken up, were not being loaded. So all those issues were being faced by them. So another issue that they faced was the rigid pollution clearance process. Now, there are MSMEs who fall under green and white categories. They also are required to take the pollution clearance certificates. Now, this is an area which should be exempted to them, as they already are falling under green and white pollution categories. Only the ones who are falling under red and orange, let them have the pollution certificates or clearance processes done, and not for these other MSMEs. Another issue which we found was the companies who were registered way back, they had only 4-digit registration number. But whereas the MSME registrations were requiring 6-digit registration numbers. Now, there was a dichotomy here as to how they are going to get their MSMEs registered on the portals. GI tags was another issue which the MSMEs were facing. They wanted to have the uniqueness of their product, but the GI tags are turning out to be very expensive, though the government declares that the rates for GI tags are very minimal, but they ultimately have to go through a consultant, which ultimately results in very high amounts to be paid. So this needs to be subsidized by the government. One major issue which we faced was the skill gap. Now, this issue was shared with us across pan India. So everybody shared us this issue. Now, skill gap is one place. They say we skill the labor. Once they are skilled, they leave us and they go to the other organization. And we are again faced with lots of issues. Secondly, they said we are not getting the type of skilled labor required for our industry. So that is another issue they were facing. And one more problem they were facing in the skilled labor is that the ITIs where the labor was getting skilled, there's a mandatory provision wherein the ITIs link these labors to the units so that they can have hands-on training. So here the stipend is to be paid by the government, but for the time period which they are with the unit is paying the stipend. But now the issue comes here is that the stipend is being paid by the MSME, but MSME faces a lot of issues while getting those stipends back into their accounts. So there has to be a system in which is maybe linked with your Aadhaar. Once the MSME says yes, they have done the work, and let the money flow into their account. So, it has to be a smooth process which needs to be made. Another thing is that higher education institutions should be merged and promote skill development for the MSMEs. And even the skill centers should be done as a recommendation we set under the PPP model. Under labor, we had another issue that was labor officer. So labor officer would just come to the unit and not, give in advance notice that, okay, I will be coming and inspecting the unit after 2 days or 3 days or whatever. So it was an issue because maybe the owner was not there, or the HR department was not maybe on leave or something. So, it created an issue for them. So they had requested that whenever the labor officer is to come, let it be, given to us in advance, so that we can, be ready for with the records and everything, so that we can show them in a proficient way. MSMEs and large-scale enterprises do not have much of a linkage, and there should be partnerships so that both of them grow together. Another issue we've heard, and this issue was also we heard basically from the north side of the MSMEs associations, was the ESIC scheme issue. So in the ESI scheme, they said the hospitals are not up to the mark, and the labor does not want to take over the ESI schemes. So we really need to work on the hospitals of the ESIs, and also the MSMEs had to do various registrations for labor, like the PF registrations, the social welfare registrations, etc. All of these should be under the same portal, under one portal, so that all registrations take place simultaneously, and the MSME does not have to go into so many issues. Now, of course, the third category has been the finance and the credit related issues. Collateral free loans is something which they always want, MSMEs, but it is very difficult that they are getting that. And it is very also an issue for them to give collaterals for the loans. So, and if they do not have collateral, the interest rate rises much higher. So request was that there should be a methodology which is to be followed, so that collateral free loans at reasonable rate of interest be given to the MSMEs. Then transparency in credit. They said key many times we are applying for loan, but without giving us any reasons, our loan is not sanctioned. Now here, of course, we understand that there is a point system which is being used by the banks, by which they look into the credibility of the unit. But what is the issue and why they are not able to give? There should be transparency for the MSME owners, so that they know that this is the reason they're not able to give. Maybe they can make it better the next time they are applying for the loan. And many times, as they're not able to secure loans from the banks, they go to the NBFCs, and NBFCs are charging very high rate of interest. So these rate of interest needs to be regulated by the regulatory authority, so that the MSMEs do not suffer with such high rate of interest, and even the processing fee, which ultimately turns out to be very high. So under finance and credit, there was also lack of management awareness. That is, the management themselves were not aware of the various benefits which are being given to the MSMEs by the government. And this was creating a lot of issues because they didn't know it. And the banks were also not telling them so much clearly as to how they can easily get the loans. So there should be a tailored program on financial management awareness for MSME owners, so that they know how to manage their finance and how to get the finance. The PLI eligibility actually starts from 50 to 100 crore. But MSMEs do not have such high investments. So for MSMEs, especially for micro and small, this should be coming down to maybe 10 crores. And they should be encouraged. The MSMEs did not know much about VC and fintech. They should be encouraged for the same, so that the financial issues and burdens are released of theirs. They do have a 45-day credit cycle. That is, they have to, the 45-day credit cycle in which they have to pay the GST to the government. But the issue which is coming is they do not have a 45-day credit cycle. They actually have a 90-day credit cycle because of the large firms. They do not pay them on time. And when they are not paying them on time, these MSMEs are also not able to pay the taxes on time. So this was a issue which was being created. And we also heard many entrepreneurs, especially from the Lucknow and the Kanpur area, saying that we have got ourselves deregistered from the MSME portal, because if we are registered on the MSME portal, the 45-day cycle works, and the large firms are not ready to pay us in that 45 days. And if we have that 45-day circle, the large firms are also not ready to give us orders, because they cannot pay in the 45-day credit cycle. So they were not giving them orders, and their company was suffering. The units were suffering. So they said, we have gone away from the MSME registrations so that now we can work with the large firms. This was a issue which was not only from Lucknow and Kanpur, which we came across, but also from the other parts of the country. So next is, of course, the NPAs. The norm is 90 days, but it should be extended to 180 days for the MSMEs. There is a high corporate tax on MSMEs, which should be reduced and released. Of course, now the GST issues have been solved to a great extent. And this report is November 2024. And after that, we have seen that there have been changes in the GST rates. Earlier, otherwise, there was a lot of issues, especially the dual GST on supply and installation. And one part of the firm was facing 28%, the other part of the firm was facing 18%, and this was complicating the process a lot. But thanks to the Government of India, that has been streamlined now. The other issue was that state-specific registration is treated as a distinct entity for tax purposes, and transactions between branches are classified as interstate supplies and subject to GST. So if a firm is registered in Uttar Pradesh and a subsidiary of the same has another office, let's say in Maharashtra, so they have to procure the GST from both the places, and whenever they have in and going of supplies, they will be treated as interstate supplies and subject to GST. This also does create issues for the MSMEs. So that means they cannot have branches in other parts of the country. Another issue they were saying is that we do not have any representation of MSMEs in the GST Council, and the GST Council should have MSME people also, persons also, so that the rules and regulations are also tailored for their benefit. Then another issue we saw was the changes in the HSN codes, that is harmonized system of nomenclature codes, to retroactive tax liabilities. Now, there are commodities commodities are given the HSN codes, especially the imports and the exports. Now, here what was happening was you were having the commodities coming over wherein they were taxed as per the rules. Later on, the HSN codes would get changed and the tax liability changed as well. And they had to pay it from the retroactive liabilities and go back from the date their import took place. From their time onwards, they had to pay that changed tax. So this is something that HSN codes should not change and they should stay stable. There has been, they have reported that there is deficiency in airports and connectivity, especially in the hilly areas of J&K, Sikkim, so that, the products are not very efficiently being exported to the rest of the country. So for that, of course, recommendation was that we come out with dedicated freight corridors for hilly areas, and we are seeing that these things are happening. They also wanted more controlled atmosphere storages, especially in J&K, so that they can store their products which have a small life period. Another thing that we came across, and this was again a very generic type of an issue that we came across, was absence of integrated infrastructure townships for MSMEs. They wanted a township where MSMEs have schools, the labor has schools, they have houses, hospitals, markets, and hospitals, and along with that, financial institutions as well. That is what we came out with, that not only they should have the towns should have the schools, houses, hospitals and markets, but also have banks, and in the banks there be a retired person sitting specially to help the MSMEs, make them aware of the new schemes which are there, help them to fill up the forms, etc., so that they can easily go ahead and take the loans. This issue of the high competition from digital painting industry came to us from Maharashtra. And in this, they said that we are using the traditional method of making the almiras, the steel almiras, and then the painting of the same. But now, because of the digital paintings which have come up, our almiras are not being purchased by people because they are expensive. We are doing everything with hand, but the digital painting, which is cheaper, that those are the products which are being purchased by the people, as they are cheap and give a better quality. They also said that we are trying to come out with a cooperation, but we do not have so much money to put in for us to get registered and get the land and the equipments. So we really need to look into this, that these programs, training programs are held for them, and support is given to digital painting cooperatives and clusters. So another issue which came to us was the ISO compliance. The ISO compliance was not being fully met by the MSME products. Some MSME products, though they were having the ISO stamp, but they were selling at a much lower rate and they were having very bad quality. Whereas those products which were actually adhering to all the norms, their quality was high and the price was also high. So if you are enforcing the ISO compliance, it must be standardized, and the quality and prices should also be standardized. It should not be just because you have an ISO, your prices you can vary. Let the prices be standardized so that nobody faces the issue that somebody is selling at a higher rate and the other is selling at a lower rate. the export-oriented MSMEs, they face inadequate infrastructure, especially at the airport, mainly because they are, exporting very small amount, and not a dedicated infrastructure is not there for them. So there should be a dedicated infrastructure, especially for the MSME at the airport, so that they can easily go and get their exports done. Another issue of the MSME for exports was the container industry. Now, in the container industry, they said that there is a cartel working, and the option to share containers in smaller portions is actually unavailable. So, if they want to send a consignment to UK or anywhere, they have to take the whole container, and that becomes very expensive for them. Small portion of the container is not possible, though large portions are possible. So and moreover, because large firms are sending their exports at a much cheaper rate, because there is also a cartel working there. So the recommendation was that the MSMEs should be given the priority to have small consignments and to go away with and have strong anti-cartel measures implemented. Another thing we came to know, and this is from the RATA that they told us, that MSMEs struggle to gain visibility at international exhibitions due to insufficient support and poor stall placement. They say that we already have given the money, but where we get the footfall is the minimum, or it is not up to the mark. So whenever we are paying, let the government give us the stalls in the exhibitions where the footfall is high, so that we can actually showcase our products to the world, and that will create a lot of selling of their products, awareness about their products, and they will be able to benefit. So for MSMEs especially, the visibility is a very big requirement. Another issue that this issue was again especially shared by us by RATA, and they said RATA is refrigeration, air condition, trade association. So they said that when they are exporting their products maybe to UK or Europe, they require ESG frameworks. And no framework for ESG is as of now prevalent in India. It is there, but it is very difficult to get that. So we recommended that implement ESG reporting as per international standards, and provide subsidies and training for adopting ESG frameworks, because here they are not even knowing how to go ahead with the ESG frameworks. And same goes for the renewable energy. So there is not a unified regulation for renewable energy across India. That regulation also needs to be brought in. Under tourism industry, we did face high airfare for Ladakh. And under this, we recommended that under the Udan scheme, the flights air tickets can come down, so that Ladakh is basically a more of a place where lots of people go. So for that, we really need to have airfare going down for high tourism. Now, these are certain things which were differing, but coming up by different MSME associations in different state associations. they were facing a lot of issues with the judicial problems. So they wanted a speedy resolution of the cases should take place, and they should be effective in contract enforcement. Planters were having an issue that their tea was being treated under agriculture, but treat tea growers under agriculture for farmers' benefit, which was not being done. Another issue was that there is a gap between central and state policy. Now, just recently, the government has come out with the labor policy, and it's going to be implemented throughout the country. But, labor, even the wage rates were differing from state to state. Now, that created an issue. For example, the wage rate in, let's say, one state were less and another state were high. So labor was moving towards the higher wage rate state, and this created issues for the MSMEs in the lower wage rate states. Commercial land holding was another issue we came across. Whenever hubs are created for MSMEs, those hubs they are being utilized, and along with that, the area around the hubs is also being used by MSME or purchased by them, so that they can make their godowns, etc. But converting that land into MSME land, commercial land holding, does create a lot of issues for the MSME owners. And of course, there has been multiple map requirements. Everywhere they are required to submit their maps for all taxes, approvals, subsidies, incentives, NOCs. So there should be same portal, one portal where they upload their maps, and all these agencies, they can link themselves with that portal and take the required information, which is for them, so that the MSMEs do not have to keep running from pillar to post and keep getting their maps, their other documents given to the government at different areas and offices. Now, patent was another issue which they were facing. The government should recognize Indian patents as equivalent to international patents to ensure fair opportunities for domestic MSMEs, which is not being done to the extent which it should be done. So this was the recommendation. Lack of facilitation council also was the issue, because lot of orders were being cancelled of MSMEs by the large companies, and they did not know how to deal with it, especially if an order has been given and the MSME has further given the orders to other agents so that they can fulfill the order criteria, and suddenly the large firm cancels the order. Now here the MSME has not received payments, but they have already given out payments for the orders they have placed. So under these issues, they have a lot of issues, and the Facilitation Council should help the MSMEs to get and recover the payments. Under GEM portal and the EMT exemptions also, we heard a lot of issues. Under the GEM portal, the MSMEs are exempted for EMDs to be paid for the public sector, but it happens that they ultimately end up paying the EMTs for getting their sanctions done. So this does create an issue for the MSME, whereas they have been exempted from the EMD requirements, but whenever they are going and to the GEM portal, they are required to again put in the EMT. So exemption is not actually being seen. So it was a recommendation that the public sector units should be made, should be told to clearly not go in for the EMTs from the MSMEs and totally exempt them from the EMTs for their products. Now we are going for the recommendations for the government. Of course, availability of data for periodic policy interventions is imperative, and government should collect latest data so that policies can come out with it. GST, we have already seen that issues have been solved to a large scale. Under large scale enterprises, and ITI linkages need to be done, just like the Toyota Kirloskar Motor in Bangalore has signed an MOU with the Karnataka government to provide industry specific skill linkage. Also promote linkages between higher education institutions and MSMEs so that the higher education institutions can help the MSMEs to come over and their bottlenecks. Sponsor training programs at HEIs for training MSME employees. Institutions like SIDBI, NABARD, Export Credit, and Guarantee Corporation of India and Exim Bank, they can come forward and train the MSME employees so that they are not facing the issues of trained manpower as well as other issues of finance. Also introduce exclusive management programs, maybe small term, for the MSMEs and the MSME owners in the educational institutions. The unorganized MSMEs should be given a very different type of a treatment rather than the organized MSMEs. There should be a exclusive policy for returnee entrepreneurs. Those who have already were there entrepreneurs, closed their units, they are coming back again. There should be special provisions for them, like in China has implemented policies and support systems like science research parks to attract returning Chinese entrepreneurs. There should be a dedicated media channel for information and support so that, the information as to what are the new policies for MSMEs, what are the new facilities, new concessions which are coming up for the MSMEs, they are being, they are being told through the radio, through the TV channels, through campaigns, so that the MSME owners, the MSME people are aware of the same and they can take benefit of the same. There should be integrated townships so that all the MSMEs come together and they are able to benefit from each other. So the results of the MSME expectations from the government, the green portion is the lowering of interest rates on loans. Finance, as we had seen earlier also, was the basic issue which the MSMEs were facing, and they're also expecting that the rate of interest on the loans to be lowered. Second is the simplifying loan application processes, which we have also seen that most of them have been saying that we are not able to comply with the rules and regulations of the government, as it is becoming very difficult and tedious for us to, keep putting the documents on the portal. And the portals do not work efficiently. But now, as we are seeing, things are changing. So these are the recommendations for the financial institutions to process collateral-free loans, to divert private savings to capital markets as well as MSMEs, mobile banks or street banks for informal IMEs, so that they whatever is being they are earning, they can on the spot put it into the bank, and that will also help the bank to create further credit as well. And then we do have certain recommendations for the MSMEs as well in the report. And they are that the MSMEs should try to stay updated as to what are the new rules, regulations, new policies which are coming forward, and they comply with it. So with that is all we did in this report. I think I have ended it on record time.
Indeed, you have ended it in record time, and thank you for that. Just a question from my side, Dr. Singh. Since this is a year-old report, how many recommendations have been currently, or rather, getting implemented or currently being implemented by the government? Do you have any view on that?
So we had recommended very strongly on the GST, and most of them were facing, the GST issues, especially the dual GSTs, etc., which to a large extent have been, simplified by the government. And second is the labor policy. So the labor policy just recently came out, and that is also simplified. Even for the banks are coming out with, loans categories for the MSMEs, which earlier the banks, the MSMEs were not much aware of. But I believe now a lot of effort from the government for the awareness of MSMEs has also been taken into consideration. So if you talk about the 1 year since the report has been out, a lot of, major issues are being tackled by the government. And rest, Dr. Charan can also add in.
No, Kaushik, we were very lucky. This report has been presented in front of two ministers, and one of it was Piyush Goyal, right? And because it was SOCHM carried the report to the FM also, Madam Nirmala Sitharaman. Now, as you can see from the report, there are three aspects in the report. One is there is something which has to be done at the level of the Reserve Bank. There is something which has to be done at the level of the government. And there is something which has to be done by MSMEs themselves. Now, my reading is MSMEs are so highly scattered. And because it's a state-wise issue, they are so highly scattered that I don't think a great headway has been made by us. Only thing that we have done, and we have presented this report to Niti Aayog also, only thing that we have done, we have flagged the issues. Now you have heard, Professor, you also know that these issues, some of them were not flagged at all. The way we were able to conduct a study across India, trade associations from all across the country and across the sectors. She was mentioning about the refrigerator, AC, the repair people coming and telling us they're up from hilly areas. That sort of a consolidated research and study does not exist. This is the first of its type which has been done by interacting with all these people. So far, what exists? McKinsey said this, Goldman Sachs said this, JP Morgan said this. Here, the study which we have done, it absolutely brass tack. So the value of the study is there. If you look at it from the angle of implementation, I don't think it is there. Now, the issue that rises, and Kaushik, you're right. Okay, you've done a study 1 year back. What is the track record? Is anybody listening? Is the study worth it? So my answer to that is there are again 2-3 aspects. The first aspect is a study has documented. Second aspect is it has made people aware. Today also when she's speaking, she's making us all aware. She is making people aware that here are the issues, who can and who should really now do the correction. The most important thing that I see from the study is there is no organized sector which is pushing for implementation of all this. That's a great lacuna. It's a very big gap that industry now knows these are the issues. ASSOCHAM knows this is the issue. Piyush Goyal knows this is the issue, but they're not able to implement. Now, while she was presenting and she's presented it so well, I was thinking of reaching out to Manji, the Union Minister of MSMEs, sending him the study, sending him a recording of what she has just said. Maybe we'll make a gist of what she has said. The report actually gives a very good summary. Then seeking an appointment with Manji and saying that, look, can you, this is your portfolio, do something now, right? So these implementations take 5 to 10 years. They never happen overnight. If they could happen overnight, these issues would not have come up at all.
Sure.
Well, these are very sticky issues. Therefore, resolving these issues also takes a very long time. Now, some of the recommendations which she's making hubs, ensuring trade facilitation. These are issues which will take years, even if they start today. So therefore, measuring implementation in terms of how many months are over is going to be a difficult exercise.
You know, I was also thinking in the collective wisdom of the people who have worked on this report, and there are some very, senior thought leaders of the industry who have collaborated to really work on this report. Wouldn't have been nice to really segregate these recommendations, because there are more than 100 recommendations that I see over, over the course of this presentation. And I'm not sure if you've already done that in the comprehensive report that you presented to the government, but in this presentation, it would have been great if I would have seen, what is the short term, what are the medium term, and what are the long term recommendations, so that at least as a recipient, I would have, processed the information far better. Because right now, these are all bunch of recommendations spread across 8 to 9 odd categories that I see. But as a recipient of this presentation, I'm not able to see, okay, where should I focus first, and then, which should be my next target, and which should be my long-term focus. So that's something that was a little fuzzy as far as I'm concerned as a recipient of this particular presentation. It's an
Professor,
observation, not a question.
Professor, we have not
Actually, sir, done it. Actually, it's there in the report wherein we have done it. So what I did was, because there is always a paucity of time. So, I was going with every issue, coming out with the recommendation. But at the end of the report, which is there on our website as well, I'll put in the link also for everyone right now in the chat group. You can see that the recommendations are also coming out at the end, which are there, especially, not as you were talking about the long term for the government, the finance institutions, and for the, so they are coming there category wise as well.
Yeah,
totally forgot. Very good.
Yeah, please go ahead. Dr. Shalini, let me compliment very nice way and exhaustive kind of coverage has been there. In fact, I will give my observations from 2-3 perspectives. One is that number of initiatives, even whatever has been taken, the understanding of the various benefits is not there at the bottom level, especially for the micro enterprises and even I will say small enterprises. I was in the month of November giving a talk for this digital printers and packaging of South India. So 100 plus entrepreneurs in Bangalore were there. And I talked about various schemes which are there of national small scale Industries Corporation, National Small Industries Corporation, and even the SIDBI schemes, the familiarity is not there. They are small entrepreneurs, so leave aside the micro entrepreneurs. So that kind of challenge is there now. National Small Industries Corporation is there now. It's their task also. Apart from there are certain MSME institutes in Noida also, in Northeast Guwahati also, in Hyderabad also. Now responsibility is there, not only remaining confined to the offices, but move out in the fields. And with all associations, there should be a tracker. How many, at least once in a year, if they do the interactions, I think it will have a far-reaching implications for understanding of these various initiatives. Now, in fact, I have done pre-COVID issues and challenges of MSMEs, financing related, and also post-COVID, I'm finishing my analysis of my personal one-to-one interactions at different centers in the country. So I saw some kind of similarities in your findings. So, but yes, what Mr. Sanyal is telling, that yes, if we can have some kind of a tracker for the short term, the medium term, long term, these kind of initiatives, which the government has whether initiated after this report has been shared, that will, a tracker will help us to tell them also that here we appreciate the initiative, but still, as Dr. Singh was telling, a lot more requires to be done for MSMEs. So that sort of thing. And Dr. Singh, I was happy that you talked about Mr. Maji, meeting him, because he is the Union Minister for MSME. And I also am planning to give my book in Delhi. So maybe to the Finance Minister and to MSME Minister, I can also join whenever you are having some sort of an appointment, especially MSME related. But overall, I will say the efforts have been very encouraging of your report.
Shalini, there is a conference coming up in Bangalore, which is on startups.
Okay.
Yeah, so I will be sending you a link. Professor Sinha,
Yeah.
we would like to meet you also. Kaushik will be in touch with you. Kaushik was suggesting last week of December. He will be available to interact with you. So need be, I can also come and meet you. The last time, the point that you made, that you had some interaction on the MSME training for some students. So we'll touch on
for
point.
Bangalore Chamber of Industry and Commerce.
Yeah, Kaushik will be.
Yeah,
Kaushik will be
we
in touch
can
with
organize also with them while you are here.
Yeah, so I know I'll come only for this purpose. So Kaushik will be in touch with you, and you can then talk up or chalk up some meetings here and there. I'll be happy to be part of that. Now, when we speak, when we write to Manji and seek an appointment, I'll keep in mind your offer that you would like to come along and give your book. I'll keep that in mind. Next week, as it is, you are making a presentation on our EGROW series.
Yeah, sure.
That is on 20th.
Yeah.
So we'll have the advantage of your presentation, and then we'll also, and you have the book already out, and your presentation is about your book. Am I right?
It is one aspect because this book, unlike the previous occasions for Indian Institute of Banking and Finance, this has a wider coverage on various aspects, not only the finance aspect, but the marketing, the HR, and the different 15 chapters all together and all kind of schemes. So it's a comprehensive kind of a book. So my presentation talk is specifically on the financing aspect, one of the key aspects of my book.
Sure.
Before we close, I just wanted to ensure that we have asked all the questions that we may have in mind. So, Mr. Atul Mehta and IBA, I'm not sure what your full name is, but I see IBA in your handle. If you have any questions, you may please go ahead, or else we'll close this particular webinar.
Yeah, I have one or two observations. Am I audible?
Yes, you are, please. Thank you.
Yeah. So thank you, Professor Singh, for such an insightful presentation. One thing is that maybe, for different states, which should be coming out of your report only. So for different states, I think different priority areas are to be identified. And based on that listing, maybe what kind of interventions are required first, state-wise or maybe region-wise. So maybe something which is more relevant for Western states may not be relevant for Eastern states. Eastern states, MSMEs, may have different set of problems. So maybe that is going to help. I'm not sure if that has already been done or not. And second is, another thing is that MSMEs in India, they lack in productivity. It's a big issue or big challenge. Now, productivity out of skill gap first, or productivity because of poor technological advancement. So we also need to understand which contributes more to, the lack of productivity among MSMEs. So maybe if you already have any observation on that, you can speak on that. Otherwise, this understanding is also important when we are looking at challenges. And third is these days adoption of Industry 4.0. So what kind of specific challenges these MSMEs are facing when it comes to adoption of Industry 4.0? If you could reflect on that, maybe it's there in the report or not, but out of your discussions with the bodies, if you have any observation on that. And one last point is the threshold which is used. Whether the threshold which is used for categorization of MSME, for example, from investment perspective or from turnover perspective, does that threshold also decide or determine certain challenges or not? I think if you have explored that and have any observations on that, I think that would also be great to be discussed with higher authorities. That is what my bit of observation is.
Charan, I'll take in some questions and maybe you can join in.
Yeah, I think this is a good input.
It's very good input, and thank you very much for the inputs. So let me share with. One was a questionnaire we had floated, and it went pan-India. So in the questionnaire, there were some questions which were open-ended, but we did not get the type of response we wanted in that. And after that, we went in for interview method, or let me say discussion method, wherein the state MSMEs or associations were through SOCHM were getting connected with us. We also met certain associations offline at the SOCHM's office as well. So this is the way we had gone in. What you are talking about is the Industry 4.0. Let me put it this way, that most of the MSMEs, except the ones which were, let's say, RATA, or the MSMEs which were into high technology yield, they were not able to go in for Industry 4.0. So the issues of ESG also were coming from a particular type of the MSMEs. So that cluster was also a different type of a MSME cluster. Now production, whereas the most of the MSME owners gave us the issue being labor, not being trained. And even if they're training the labor is going. So they have a large number, or there's a huge deficiency trained labor with them. So if I look at your question from that point of view, so that means to increase the productivity, they do require the trained labor and they do not have that. So I would say more on the trained labor part of it. And as far as the threshold you're talking about, no, we have not done that. That's a good way we could have done it. We thought of getting it done through the questionnaires, but the response in the questionnaires in that category did not come properly. So, yes, maybe next time doing it, we can think of going in as per the threshold. Now I request Dr. Charan to add in what if I've left out something.
No, this is perfect. You're very right. And we take this in a very positive sense. We'll improve upon it before writing to the minister. I must thank Professor Shalini. She's very unwell, but she stuck to the timing that we had earmarked for her. Thank you, Professor Shalini, for I know you're so unwell, running temperature. Your voice is different and you are still coughing, but you stood by and did this. Very good. All right. Kaushik? Kaushik, are you mute? I can't hear you. Kaushik, you're mute. Kaushik, you're mute.
My bad, I'm sorry. I said thank you for joining this webinar, everyone, and especially to Dr. Shalini, who, despite being not well, making time out and giving us this particular walkthrough, highly appreciated. And to everyone else who's joined, thank you very much, and we will hope to see you again next Saturday, same time, on another interesting topic. And till then, goodbye and have a good weekend. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.